at those puppies! I mean, I drove 3,000 miles to get here. I mean, what a beautiful place. This is you.
Yeah, right?
This is you. Piece of heaven. We just shot this guy Rowdy.
Yeah, by the way, he's famous.
He's a real cowboy, I tell you what. Yeah, I love that! Good! Dude, I got it.
I wonder if he saw my cowboy movie, The Homesman.
I have never heard of the Hilary Swank girl.
Well, she does a lot of stuff with Eastwood. He probably did and doesn't know.
Well, he has to come up here when we get our horses.
Oh, you want to see his picture?
She should put more horses in her movies and then I would see them.
There we go, Hill. I'll explain to you. You guys come up, stay 6 feet away.
It's so incredible what you're capturing. You're telling such a story that is going to be talked about forever. Think about when the photos people took of the Great Depression and all of that. This is a crazy time and you're capturing it. You're capturing people within it. This is going to be one of the most important pieces you've ever done. You're going to leave a legacy with this.
You have no idea, and you've been around since the beginning of my career, but you know how important it is. You ready, guys? Holy shit balls, this is great. Get a little more sun on your face, let me see. Yeah, I'll tell you how this way. Oh my God, this is so good! Yeah. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. Done! We just arrived in Vegas. Look, no masks. No one cares, and it's like it's a Tuesday. We're going to this little souvenir shop to shoot Elvis. He hit me up on Instagram. He seemed right, so we're about to find out. Hopefully he's a real Elvis. Oh, it's right here. How sick is this? Oh, look out! All right, so that's that spot. They across the street from Mandalay Bay.
Yep, I know exactly where it is.
Walk to the passenger side so that way we're still COVID distance.
Cool. Hey, bud, look at it. You'll be over here. We'll keep kind of distance a little.
Back up a little bit. Hold on, coming a little closer.
Why am I smiling?
Now come up. Yeah, right there. And go this way a little bit. Oh my God, this is amazing. There. Okay, 1, 2. That's it, homie. Quickest shoot you've ever done.
All good?
Yeah, we're good, man. Hey,
All right.
thank you so much.
My pleasure. Good luck with everything. You guys have a good one, man.
Elvis has left the building. Thank you, brother.
Montage starting.
I'm gonna put back the shaft of Pearl. I need to go under the car, screw some 4 bolts, make sure it's tight.
Shit. Can someone call me Brian? I need you there because, you know, this thing fell off.
This.
Oh,
Did any of these fall out?
What happened?
All right, so this is the little piece that goes on the side of the U-shaped bracket for the drive shaft, and all these little pins have to be lined up perfectly around the whole thing so it can spin. If we lost even one of these pins, we can't drive.
Oh man.
Oh
no. Oh, you found it.
Okay. Let me try to get all these in. We're missing a gap right here. 3 or 4 are missing. We can't go anywhere without them. They're tiny. Oh, hold on. Oh, dude. There's one more somewhere. Start here. You're making a mess. You gotta go slow. It's tiny.
Ah, here it is. Oh! Good catch. Go.
I think this might be the last one. Oh, that's it! That is a miracle. We found all 4 of them. That would have been the end. We would have went home because you can't drive. Who put out the cones, Katie?
Someone's legs were in the highway.
Ooh, that got my heart racing.
good to go.
Greetings, Leica fans and Leica fam. How's everyone doing? Antonio here from Leica Camera USA, joining you now today on a Leica Conversations. I hope you guys have been tuning into Leica Tech Talk, where I normally am, but here now today we have a very special program with Leica Conversations. And I think if you've been tuning into our program since we had it as Stay Home with Leica and Leica Conversations, this should hopefully be a familiar face. Today we have a very special program, a virtual book signing with Bowen Smith, photographer and creator and just amazing human being. Brian is actually live with us there at the LA Gallery, the Leica Store LA Gallery. Brian, welcome to the program. It's so great to see you again.
Thank you. Sorry about the face, guys. We can't all be as good looking as Antonio.
So Brian, we've spoken before, and I hope that many in our audience, I see people in the chat. Hello, everyone I see people saying hello from Oregon and California, snowy Brooklyn. Hey, folks, we're in the midst of some crazy weather, and we really hope that all internet connections hang on and hold out. And we hope that everyone's doing well as well, of course. So be sure to tune in the chat. Let us know what you think. Share us your thoughts, and submit questions for us in the Q&A. I hope you guys are used to that routine. I want to be able to ask some questions on your behalf to Brian. Now, Brian, we've spoken before about your Drivebys project. You kind of conceived this program in a way, with us a little bit. You did the first shots.
100%.
Yeah, when you said you were going to be driving across the country. So, and you've done it. You've made all these amazing photographs, and we'll show some, but we've spoken about many of these before. And for anyone that missed those programs, they're on our Leica Camera USA YouTube page. You can watch them in their entirety. You can see Brian and I chat through so many of these amazing photos. Brian, for those that haven't seen it or not familiar with this work, can you give just the long short of what Drivebys was and now is in today's form?
Drivebys is a celebration of the pandemic. When everyone was kind of freaking out and staying inside like they should, I was so bored and I needed to shoot. So ironically, during a Zoom call with my neighbors, the Romanos, we had decided just to shoot a picture with Taya. And what started out as just us wanting to shoot a picture slowly blossomed into a series of pictures, then quickly became a nationwide adventure, to say the least. And so what I was trying to do was not just shoot people in the windows that couldn't come outside. I would actually call them and kind of organize a shoot through a Zoom or a phone. And then would go meet them and do the picture all through the window of my truck.
Mm-hmm. Yes, your old girl, short? Pearl.
Yeah, old Pearl.
So your 1950s, it's 1950s, right? Ford pickup?
1958 Ford F100.
So
4-speed.
It's 4 on the floor?
Slow.
So Brian, you went out and did this, right? You set off on the adventure. You created it. We touched base with you in that conversation program a few months back after you've done the project, and now its new form is the book, right? This photo book that you've created of Drivebys.
Yes. So the goal was to eventually make a book. And it became a reality, and we got it. I self-published it. We ship it out ourselves, me and my family. Just a good old-fashioned do-it-yourself amazing project. Just lucky. And but I'm super excited. Actually, I think we have the book somewhere. Oh, here it is. This is the leather-bound copy that if you purchase today, we're going to be doing a personal signing for you and doing a 20-minute conversation, personal, one-on-one, where you can ask me or do anything. We talk about photography, your pants, whatever.
That's right. So basically, folks, for everyone tuning in, if you purchase the book today, and they'll throw the links in the chat, then you can not only have this pretty amazing limited edition version of Drivebys, but you can have a 20-minute conversation with Brian arranged for it could be a portfolio review or some photography consultation. So you get to chew this man's ear and all of his insights. So now, with that being said, Brian, you have created so many stories in this book, and we saw a few images up on screen, but you said how this kind of started, and it started with your neighbors, right?
Yeah.
And then from there it just kind of grew and grew into this countrywide, nationwide journey. Can you tell me a little bit further about how that interaction first started and the story behind it? And I know we have some special guests lined up that we'll be hearing from in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it started from drinking. We were having a Zoom happy hour, and the Romanos have a daughter, Taya, who will explain her version of it. But we were just talking about just shooting, and she wanted to come learn, and she wanted to, like, can I assist or shadow a job? And I was like, well, let's just do a shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it started. And then, Pearl, she's an old truck. So once a week, I drive her around just to keep all the oil and everything flowing. And I'm like, well, why don't I use that truck? Because there's so much big windows, and I can shoot you through the window. And there you have it. There's the photo. But do we have Taya and Kim standing by?
Yeah. So I think this would be a perfect opportunity to have our special guests, our cameo. So Taya and Kim, it's so great to have you. And folks, again, submit your questions. I'm happy to come back in and ask questions for Taya, Kim, and Brian. But in the meantime, Taya, Kim, Brian, it's so great to have all three of you here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So Taya, we were just talking about the first photo. Do you remember when I called you and was like, hey, why don't you go get some dresses out of your closet and start trying them on? We'll pick one.
Exactly. Yeah. We were doing the happy hour because everyone was just so bored, didn't know what to do. And it was so funny how it started off as a happy hour and then it became a Zoom fitting, where I was just trying on dresses, like, is this one good? Is this one good? And in high school, I loved photography. I was always really into it. And I'd wanted to help Brian in any way that I could. And exactly like how he said, he was like, well, why don't I just shoot you? And I'd never really done that before. And we got all excited and we were so ready. And we had it all planned out. So that way we just had to take the photos the next morning. And then we wake up and it's raining and call Brian. Yeah. And we're like, well, what do we do now? This sucks. And he goes,
I was like, no, it doesn't.
Do it. And that's how the umbrella got involved. And it was funny because normally you'd think that a photo shoot would be this whole long process. And then he came to the house. And within maybe 10, 15 minutes, he left. It was just that quick. We had planned everything out to the T. And it was so interesting because we were distanced. And so I didn't get to see any of the pictures. And not having any modeling experience, I was just hopeful that I could do a good job. And 30 minutes later, we get the text and it's a couple of the pictures and we're like, whoa. This is really cool.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, whoa. And I thought, this is just an amazing single image. This is going to be a great print. This is going to be great for Instagram. And then Kim, who is Taya's mom, was sitting there and she was like, oh, that's funny because my girlfriend and I were trying what you were trying on your wedding dresses?
Yeah, so
remind me.
After 22 years of marriage and the box being, packed away for that long, I thought, well, now's a good time to take it out. Let's do something. And Brian was like, yeah, I'd love to shoot it. So he tells me about a swing that's down the street from us. And I said, yeah, I totally know that one. So he says, go to the house, put a note on their mailbox, and ask them if it's okay if we go on their property and use the swing. So I put the note on, and that night the people texted me, no problem. And that was it. We went the next day. I showed up in my wedding dress. He pulled up in the truck, and my husband had to push me on the swing and then go and hide back in the bushes.
He almost killed himself like 3 times.
It was so much fun. You know, he told me exactly what to do. I didn't have modeling experience either. But it was very cool. And again, 10 minutes and he was gone. And that was the drive-by.
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing was based on being safe and being apart. And I literally didn't get out of the truck. And you would just yell directions. And then I'm like, wow, this was actually surprisingly easier than I thought. And then when I got home, my wife, Shay, she's like, you got to do more of these. And so I'm thinking, well, how am I going to do, how many more can you do? Like, I've only got 6 friends. So during a Leica talk is when I told Antonio, I'm like, well, what if I go across the country? Half kidding. And then that night I was just laying awake in bed and I looked over at my wife and said, I think I'm going to do it. And she's like, yeah, okay. Because it was a weird time to go and do something like this. And I didn't know if people were going to be so afraid that they were like, no, dude, are you crazy? I'm not meeting you anywhere. And that's kind of creepy. So I just said, well, I'll just go to the desert because I love the desert. And if the worst comes to worst, I'll get some great landscapes. And then people were super responsive. And then May 2nd on my birthday, I just said, peace, headed towards Vegas. Who's in? And I got these amazing calls from people. And BBS Drivebys was born. Thanks to these 2 young ladies.
It was nothing. Our pleasure.
Oh,
It turned out.
good. Now I know where to go for the second round.
For future projects, Brian, you have your muses. It's now
Yes.
well established. Yeah, Brian, people are already talking about buying the book. Some people already placed orders. And, you know, I think that there's something really special to all these images, but there's something so special to the stories. And what I think is really so cool, what surprised me about the book, particularly Brian, when I got I got it. You sent me a PDF of it to take a look at it first. You have a foreword at the beginning from your friend Josh Brolin.
Yes.
And I love that it says right at the forefront, it says, here's the story. And there's always a story. And that's why we're so glad to be doing this today, to share some of these stories, such as with Taya and Kim, and more to come. You guys can hear me okay?
100%. And Josh is such an amazing writer. And when I asked him if he would do the foreword, he was like, yeah, duh. And then I still, to this day, I can't read it without getting choked up. Because he just hits everything right on the head.
Mm-hmm.
He's an incredible human being, and I'm completely blessed that even happened.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's funny. I had that moment where I'm reading through it and I'm like, this is great, and then I get to the end where it credits his name and I'm like, oh, hey, there's a familiar name. Now, I see some people are talking about that they bought it. We've gotten a few questions, and maybe some questions might be good for Tay and Kim as well. But first and foremost, someone asked, did you have any inspiration for this project, like any other, something maybe from like, for example, Lee Freelander, or any kind of other, concepts where you saw that maybe you took as a little bit of inspiration to do this? Or was this really more of a project or a product of the moment because of the pandemic?
This was clearly just something that started with Taya and Kim because I was bored. I mean, I have to be doing something at all times. I can't sit still. And so I just was trying to think of a way that we could make that happen. And still be safe.
Yeah, exactly. And what obviously a very creative way of going about it. And let's see, we have also some other comments. What was it about this project that you felt called for black and white? It's consistently black and white the entire way through. And you use a camera that actually only records black and white, the M10 monochrome. But was there something about this that you felt it should be black and white beginning to end?
Well, when I got the monochrome, I knew that just solves half the problem. I don't have to worry about whether it's color, whether it's black and white. I just can shoot. This is actually the monochrome I used. And then when I got the Tri-Elmar 16, 18, 21, it really suited the purpose for shooting through windows. So it was kind of a no-brainer. And I wanted this project to be more about photos and less about equipment. So I had no lights. I had one, this lens and the camera. And all I had to do was make sure that I got to a place where I could charge batteries and I could concentrate just on shooting the project. And I think that nowadays, a lot of young photographers, first thing they ask is, what camera do you use? What this? It's like, this camera suit my needs and purposes and does for most of my just like personal stuff. And so with this camera, it allowed me to just not worry about anything and not really make choices based on what my equipment was and just shoot. And I mean, if you see the book, everything came together so smoothly and it just was a great tool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not just saying that because we're on a Leica conversation. It's the truth.
No worries. Well, it's while this is a Leica program, I wonder, maybe not everyone can see it, but I think one maybe joke question I would ask is, what have you done to your camera, Brian? Because I just see so much wear and tear on that thing.
That's because
the countrywide
we'd be
travel
using it, and then I can't stand anything that looks new, so I did take some sandpaper to it.
So the truly hardcore
cringe, but
no worries.
I love it. I love brass too. When you see that brassing, it just makes you feel like you're doing it. You're just doing something.
Yeah, of course. I've got also one more. Maybe we can bring Tan and Kim on for one more. I got a question for them as well to generate a little bit of discussion between the three of you guys too. Being at the forefront of this project, Tan and Kim, did you have any reservations? Do you think this could just be a fun portrait that maybe Brian you can get a print of, or did you sense that he was on to something bigger when you did all this?
Definitely. I think even in the happy hour that we had, ideas were just going. Brian is just constantly thinking of new things and something to keep him busy, but also just he's so creative. And just the name Drivebys came up, or Driveway. We were coming up with all different names, and I'm sure it was Brian that came up with this one. But I think in the beginning it was just more about something to do, something that gave us, a smile, something to just fill our day. This was, really in the beginning. So it was just something fun. And we were lucky to do it with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was lucky.
and highlighting the fact that, this was definitely in some of the most uncertain times, I think, of the pandemic, very early on, where, it was definitely at its most, maybe its most tumultuous or one of its trickiest moments. I think it's a matter of around the time, I remember I was still wiping down my groceries with Clorox wipes or whatever, right? So it was definitely brave of even the three of you just to go out and do this and make some art in a unique way, and then this be the impetus to set off for this journey, I think is quite impressive. And how did you speaking of the question from the audience about this being a black and white project, Taya, did you you have some photography background as well? So like, what did you think of this being a black and white project and the look of the style of this? Does it have that timeless element to it?
It definitely did. I mean, as I mentioned before, it was raining on the day that we did the shoot, and I think it sort of set the tone for the black and white. I think it made it just even more perfect that it was raining, and the whole black and white look made it super ominous and just super, super cool. And it just kind of grabbed you when you saw the picture. And I think it all just came together so perfectly. There's no other way to describe it other than perfect. I mean, it was so funny. Something that started as just a super nonchalant conversation became this huge, amazing project that I'm talking about now.
Yeah, it's trippy. You're so right. It's just the way things come, and sometimes in life you don't expect things to be the way they are, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. And this just happened to be one of those ones. It's so funny because everyone's like, the book, you're a genius. And I'm like, it's completely not that at all. I was lucky and took advantage of a situation, and this time it worked out.
Yeah, for sure. And again, Taya and Kim, can't thank you guys enough for joining us. So we really appreciate your participation in today's virtual book signing. So it's also, by the way, it's great to meet you although via screens, because I've been, of course, a big fan of what Brian's put together, and to see those images when he first shared them blew me away as well. If I can put on my fan hat for a moment. So it's cool to chat with both of you as well. So thank you, Taya and Kim. Brian, I've got a little question for you about the book in general, because you did this with a Kickstarter to begin things off, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that experience?
Kickstarter was a great experience because, like, books are expensive. Anyone that made a book, especially if you're making it by yourself, it's super expensive. So when we pre-sold the book and raised enough money to actually print the book, I was astonished. I couldn't believe it. Because you kind of know that you're like, all right, I've at least sold this many, and I'll be able to pay for the book. So it was awesome.
Yeah. And also, tell us a little about the book, because that is that.
So this is the leather-bound copy, super sleek and stealth, and it comes with a custom silver gelatin print as a bonus. This is the one of Cindy Crawford and Randy driving down PCH. There's 3 different pictures. You don't know which one you're going to get. They're all different. And this is a leather-bound edition. So we kind of want to make it super, super special, but I love that the way the book is kind of so panoramic. So, you know what I mean? Like, look at that. When you get a big double page, it's just, it looks visually so cool. So even the way the book is designed, the 9x12 format, when you open up that huge double page, it simulates how the windows are in the truck. So it kind of really came together. Like I said, it's like, I didn't really plan all this. Even when we were designing the book, it just fit. And I kind of went in chronological order, so I didn't have to worry about what goes next to what. It was like, we started in LA, we went to Vegas, then up to Washington, all the way back down, and then around the southern route, and then came back the northern route, and then back to Los Angeles. So, and in the very last page, I put the actual route, 11,000 miles round trip. And so I thought it was super cool. And so those little arrows show you which way we went. So you can kind of get a gist of what a journey it actually was. It wasn't easy, I'll tell you that much. I'm so happy that it's together, but I'm so happy it's over.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, we saw in the pre-show video, for everyone that saw that, how Pearl, maybe had some struggles here and there. but you had to do some maintenance. But it's amazing to take. Frankly, in this past year, I haven't driven my own car 11,000 miles, and you took a 1958 Ford pickup.
Yeah, but also I'm going to mention I went with two other people. I went with my friend Sylvan and my friend Evan B. Stone.
And I want you actually to hold that
Sylvan
thought, Brian.
offered up his,
Oh, sorry. I want you to hold that thought because I know there's more storytelling to tell there. But I believe we do have someone else here who's also making a special cameo that I think is if they might be ready to tell their story of how they were a part of this Drivebys program. Do we have a special guest available?
oh, my love.
Hi.
Hi, Hill.
How are you?
Thanks for joining us.
Great. I'm great. I'm loving watching you talk and share, and so happy to be here joining you, and so happy to when you say it was a long journey and you were showing your map, I was reminiscing about the fact, obviously, I've known you for decades. I'm a huge fan of you as a human being, but also of your work. We met doing a photo shoot like in 2000
for skin cancer.
And yep, that's right, with Mark. And so I follow you, of course, and I saw that you were doing this the Brian Drivebys, and I thought, wow, this is so cool. And then as I watched you progress, I saw that you were actually driving across the country. And because I live here in Colorado, I was like, if you're coming through Colorado, I got to be a part of this. I got to see you even, even if it's through your car window. So it was really wonderful to be able to see a friend during COVID, albeit very briefly, and through the window of Pearl. But what was fun too is let
me just reiterate real quick. That's what was great about it, is that even though that we're friends, I didn't call in my celebrity favors and have them do that so the book was more impactful. You contacted me just like everyone else. You hit me up on Instagram and we came up with a time and date, and I swung by and did it just like everyone else. Because that's how this pandemic kind of evens everyone out.
Well, that's the other thing that I also recognized from seeing the photographs that you were posting, but now also having this beautiful book in my hands, is the fact that this is a connector. This was connecting people, and making us feel less alone. It's still a challenging time, and so to be able to look at this book and reflect on what we're all going through collectively, no matter your race, your creed, your income bracket, like we're all struggling as humans through this, and that you captured it so eloquently and so inspiringly, and so truly. And those are my neighbors.
Oh yeah, that was the best.
When you came by, one of my got to meet my
favorites.
Neighbors.
Yeah, those kids were the best. What's the guy on the right? Remember, he's like, well, I'm the cutest.
Yeah, he had that little list. I'm the cutest, and I'm gonna go get my tools.
Yeah, yeah. He wanted. He said he's gonna be a supermodel.
They're the salt of the earth. Love my neighbors. Yeah.
Oh, so great.
And then you also, the cover of your book was one of my neighbors.
Yeah, that was a very important stop. There he is, Rowdy the cowboy.
That is, and I remember you had taken that, you said, I got to go get this shot. I'll be there, right. And I was like, the sun's going down. You're like, yep, I'll be there. I'll get it in 2 minutes. I got to take this photo and get driving anyway. I got to get on the road. And then you showed me this through your camera from a distance. You're like, check this out.
Yeah. I didn't even download it yet. I went from there straight to you. We got and we got to you perfect. Cause you're like, there's this place, but the sun hits it right at 6:35. And I'm like, we'll be there. And you were exactly right.
That was just an old, that's an old building that is down the road that is empty, that a lot of people come and like to shoot in the fall, or it's just kind of it's been here
gorgeous.
Forever. And so that was a really fun that you captured us in front of that.
It sure was. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a little bit of your experience with everyone. And you know how much I love you, so I won't say it.
I'm so happy to be here. I love you so much. I love your work. I love this book. We're actually printing this large, and just our house is now built. The house we were building when you took the picture, and we're gonna put it up in our living room. We're really, really excited about it. It's beautiful, and congratulations.
I'm super honored. I love you, Hill. Tell all the puppies I said hello.
Love you.
All right.
I will.
Hey.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Hilary, for joining our virtual book signing and joining in this program with us. It's an honor to have you, and it was great to get some insights from you. Brian, we've got let's do some quick shout outs, because I hit refresh and I'm like, oh my God, we've got some people buying the book during this program right now. So I want to give some shout outs. Shauna from California. We've got Catherine from Georgia has bought 5 books.
I know what Catherine that is. Wow.
Abby from the UK has bought one. Ellie from Georgia has bought one, and also Bob from California. So thank you everyone for contributing to this. And I also want to give a shout out in the chat. I love this comment, by the way. Someone said, Kelly said, I love that it's being called a project, but man, it's history bound together with glue, paper, and ink. It's incredible. And so, yeah, thank you everyone for buying your piece of this moment in
history. Who said that?
That was from Kelly, and I'm sorry, I'm sometimes bad with names. Kelly Robitaille.
Tell Kelly to DM me that. I love that.
I think I pronounced it Robitaille.
I want to start following.
So, and actually, let's touch on that for a moment if we can. You mentioned DMs and you mentioned Instagram. You talked about that, how people reached out to you. So we talked about Kickstarter and how you helped fund the book through that method, and then you went a very organic way of getting people to be a part of it, and that was you just put it out there on Instagram, right? And people reached out.
Yeah, I literally would just say, I'm headed towards Vegas. If you got a great idea, let me know. I'll check my DMs. And I thought maybe I'd get, 1 or 2 people or I'm going to have to try to source people, or maybe this book was going to be just the emptiness of America. Go to Vegas and shoot the strip with no one on it. And when do you get that?
Mm-hmm.
And then surprisingly, I was getting tons of DMs and great ideas. And obviously we were not in places. I thought this was going to be 2 weeks. It ended up being over 6. So we were like on the move. Like Hilary said, like we went in, shot those 3, and then we were out because we didn't like to drive at night. Half because we wanted to see the country, and you can't see anything at night. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of going around this great country of ours is to being able to see it. And then that's when you get opportunities to actually take pictures as well. So we were in and out fairly quickly, and we didn't want to be around people if we didn't have to be. So that's why it was super quick. I mean, I think the quickest one was a bunch of nurses that said, we'll run outside, but we literally have 5 seconds because they're completely overwhelmed. And I'm like, I will be waiting outside. You run out, line up on the curb. I'll just take a quick picture and run back in. And that's exactly how it went down.
Yeah. So. And you mentioned that how, you captured life, you captured the void of life in these places. I know like you have the Vegas Strip, you have images in the book that are just actually also beautiful landscapes across the country, which I think are just so timeless
and here's
as well.
Here's another interesting part of the book that while we're doing it, I really didn't understand is that we've got such memorable moments from everything, like even to the sign that said Carol Baskin's bitch.
Right.
Everyone in the world in this time period knows what that is.
Right.
Then we got the end of the tour. We got some of the George Floyd riots and all the marches. And then before we left, there were a bunch of marches happening in LA for political reasons. So it's kind of like the book has a lot of history. So it's kind of interesting that it's almost like a Bible of 2020. And to have anything positive come out of that year is, to me, astonishing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and with that, so I want to give another shout out. So another book purchased. Looks like we've got one that went out to Kipling from Georgia. So thank you. And we've got a whole bunch of questions here. So if we can take a few minutes before our next guest comes on soon,
please, I'd love to answer questions.
Yeah, so we've got some good ones here. What was your greatest motivation to continue your journey across America, especially when things got rough on the road?
You know, as a photographer, you pray that once in your lifetime, you do something that's important. And then halfway through this trip, I started realizing how important to me what I was doing. And I had to finish it. There was nothing that was going to stop me. And I had to make it all the way to New York City and then all the way back. And then whatever happened with it happened. If there was no book, there was no book. I just have some amazing photos, and I got a great story to tell around a campfire or tell my kids. But what it blossomed into, I mean, I'll be forever grateful that I have this, so I can say, you know, I did this. And I think that being an artist is super hard as it is, but when you do something that you're proud of and you're like, wow. And then the response I'm getting from other people is just overwhelming. And to this day, every time I get a DM or someone tells me like, oh, your book, you know, I don't think it'll ever get old. I don't think that I'll realistically do anything this powerful again. I hope I don't have to, actually. This is a once in a lifetime you know, thing that it'll be in the history books like wars were. It's so much devastation and so much sadness and, you know, and people being hopeful. And I just hope we, you know, get back to normal soon, but I got to be grateful for it. You know, if this didn't happen, this book wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't be sitting here. So just take what life gives you and run with it. And this happened to work out, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, there's definitely something to be said there about, you know, there's all throughout human history, there are things that happen that are out of our control, but it's what you do with it, right? With the hand you're dealt.
Yeah.
And for you, Brian, it's the hand you're dealt with, the tools you have for creativity to show the world, you know, your a glimpse or a little portion of your voice, a little glimpse into your brain and to your creativity. So I think you've definitely accomplished that, of course, with the book, and as we've shown and seen with these images. And I gotta say, I'm gonna go back to the chat for a moment here, because we've seen some. I know you can't see the chat, Brian, so I'm acting as your conduit there. We've got a great comment. I'm gonna read this verbatim from, I think, someone you may know, initials JB. In all seriousness, this book is epic, but in that it reveals the deepest, most grounded gems of our country. It is not only worth it because whomever you buy it for, including yourself, you'll always have it to resort to ground yourself and remember how multifaceted we are. I ordered 6 prints from this book because I love them so much. And of course, we have a huge version of the photo that, Brian, that you took of him and Catherine on the Harley. And he says, "Love you, buddy. You're the most inspired person that they know." What a great message from, as you said, a great writer.
Ask him if I'm cool as Roger Deakins. Yeah, obviously that's Josh Brolin.
Yep.
Them words.
Just a fantastic
He just
message.
melts you, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. Just new ways that he does. So, all right, we have another guest about to come on. And before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about where you are? You're currently in the Leica Gallery, LA, and you are actually while we're celebrating your book, we're also celebrating you as part of a joint show at the Leica Gallery. And our next guest, Mr. Brandon
Now
Boyd,
I know who that guest is.
is on deck ready. Can you just, before we bring him on though, can you walk us through, can you take us on a little walkabout through the gallery?
Actually, right to my right here are some of his amazing pieces. And the thing about Brandon too is he's so creative. Bowie Diamond, like even the titles blow my mind. But aside from being a very prolific musician in his band Incubus, he has always inspired me and got me to want to be more creative. He's one of the reasons why I started doing mixed media, and I did a whole show, my one show, right before the pandemic. And it was, whether he even knows this or not, it was largely inspired by me so jealous that I can't do this. So what's my version of this? And it's funny because that's why we're in the show together as well, is that over here is my little section, and it's called Dancing with Your Angel. And this kind of came about because I wanted to have photographs that would look kind of like Da Vinci paintings or look like they were painted and not photographed. So I decided to do motion blur. And ironically, it's the exact same lens and camera I used for Drivebys. So remember, it's not always just with that one little thing, you can create so much. And I want to inspire people to really get creative and dig deep and find how you can do that using your brain and not worrying about equipment. You know what I mean? Just kind of get out there and do it. What Brandon does is completely opposite, because painters, sculptors, all that, I can't fathom the talent. Yeah, and then we're fortunate enough to have Stefan Vanasco, who did these amazing aerial portraits. They're all large scale. So if you are in the Los Angeles area, stop by the Leica Gallery and check it out. Just ask for Paris. She's the best. She'll take care of you.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, Brian, for taking us on a little
my pleasure.
So with that being said, I believe we now have Brandon with us. Allow me to turn it over though. Brandon, thanks so much for being here, and of course for your creative work that's on display at the Leica Gallery LA. But you guys created your own amazing art with the portrait that Brian shot of you, which we can put up on screen. And I'm happy to turn it over to you guys. Let's hear a little bit of the story behind, Brian, your shot of Brandon.
Well, this is all Brandon, because he just said, dude, I want to be in your book. And I was like, all right, well, what's your idea? He's like, I don't know, maybe we'll just shoot a kiddie pool in the back of your truck. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he wasn't kidding.
Hey, look, it's me.
Yeah. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, this was about the time in the pandemic when it was ridiculously hot in Southern California. And I live in the Santa Monica Mountains, and I don't have a pool or anything, but I do have a hose, and I had a blow up kiddie pool. So you were telling me that you were driving around the country and taking pictures of people during the pandemic. And I remember you asking me, well, what are you up to? Well, I'm playing guitar a lot, and I'm painting, and I'm hanging out in an inflatable kiddie pool. Come take a picture of me.
That's it.
So I think, if I'm remembering correctly, you and I put our heads together and ended up putting the kiddie pool into the bed of your truck with the guitar. Yeah. And it's a miracle I didn't get hurt.
Well, I almost died. Remember, you had a pool, but you didn't have anything to blow it up with?
Oh, that's right. The inflatable device, the inflating device wasn't working properly, so Brian had to blow it up manually with his good old-fashioned breath.
I literally almost passed out.
And
and then it's funny because
it was worth it.
we were gonna do it in your driveway, and the light wasn't right. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, hold on. I'm just going to back up. And you're like, what? Do we actually have that video? Just finishing up a shoot here with Brandon Boyd in the back of the old, whoa. Let's see if we put the brakes. Oh, it never gets old. Oh, pump! We've actually done worse on tour, so which those stories, there's no video.
That's amazing. It's never really a shoot with you, Brian, unless someone either gets hurt or almost gets hurt.
Danger is good.
Danger is good for a good photograph. It's nice to throw in the element of danger. I feel like it keeps the subject of the photograph
It's
on
good
their
for the
toes, so
soul.
to
I
speak.
agree.
Yeah. Hey,
That's why on the tour we lit someone on fire for the book. That's a true story.
for the book.
Matter of fact.
Can I just say, Brian, I just want to tell you really quickly, we've been friends for quite a long time. You're one of my oldest friends in the world, and I've loved watching the progression of your photography and your creativity. But there's something about this book that is extra. Something else happened here with you. I've always felt you were a brilliant photographer, but something really special happened during this period of time. Obviously, everybody in not just America, but the whole country was scared and frustrated and stuck. You know, it was such a strange time. It still is such a strange time. And you got in the van, so to speak. You know, like you just went out and you hit the road, and that was an incredibly adventurous and brave thing to do. And you really captured the zeitgeist of the moment, which is so difficult to do. Everyone is always talking about doing that, but you actually went out and did it. And I just wanted to say that I'm super proud of you, and the book honestly is incredible. If there was an Oscar for books, you should win it.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you so much. I mean, I don't know if you heard earlier, but I was saying how much you inspire me. And
Thanks, man.
it kind of reminded me of being on the road, which we have been on the road. You've took me with your band several times. I mean, we went around the world.
Yeah.
Indonesia. And so to see how it was traveling and watching what real musicians go through, it's not all, you know, fun and games. It was hard work. I mean, sometimes you guys would play 7 shows in 6 days and travel overnight. It was like Groundhog Day. And I'm like, and it kind of gave me that extra boost when I was getting tired or hungry or we couldn't, you know, find any place to sleep. So we just pull off on the side of the road. You know, it kind of reminded me of our days and kept me going. So you were a big inspiration in making this and all of my stuff, always.
Right on,
I'm in
man.
awe of what you do, and I'm always blessed that you want to be a part of things.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that it was just so organic and we just did something random.
Yeah. That's kind of
By the
one of
way, let me just reiterate before he even talks, is that early in my career, my first payday was from his band. And that was all them making it happen. They told the label, this is happening. And it happened. So he started my career as well.
We had never had a photographer come on tour with us before. And I guess this would have been around, 2001 or 2002, right, Brian? When you first came out with us?
Yeah.
And so it was not only exciting to have a friend of ours who we knew was a great photographer traveling with us just because of the fun of it, you know, but there was also the excitement that somebody highly capable and equally as adventurous was going to be coming with us to document, you know, what we were up to at that period of our life. And so we went around the world a couple of times. Like we went to places that we never thought we'd get to go to, you know, still to this day.
Philippines.
Yeah,
Indonesia?
like all over Asia, all
Rad.
over Southeast Asia, all over Europe, all over the UK. It's incredible. So a lot of the kind of early collective identity of Incubus, we have Brian to thank for, because he was there capturing those moments. So
Oh,
thanks,
wow.
B.
I was a fly on the wall. I was the lucky one. I was on the
Where
wall.
are you? You at the
Sometimes, actually.
gallery right now?
Yes, sir. I just
You both
showcased your
look-
work, your beautiful work.
Thank you. And Antonio, it looks like you're in like cyberspace.
I am a giant head in
Look at the size of that boy's head.
No, Brandon, I want to add to that, Brandon. It's so amazing to hear your stories and your side. And when I was lucky enough to interview Brian for our first program, he spoke of, I remember him speaking and showing, the shot of you, and that talked about how, Incubus and his work with you kind of helped launch his career. So it's so cool to come full circle and see how Drivebys is so about, a community of people. It's about the greater country, but also to see, like, the average person may not know faces, may not know some of the people that are in it, that they're celebrities or, notable musicians or artists or whoever. But, to just, once you start to peer behind it and realize, wait, that's so-and-so, that's Brandon Boyd, that's Josh Brolin, that's, Hilary Swank, it becomes apparent that there's this amazing circle of creatives, and you guys motivated each other to create this awesome work. And then, of course, it's further exemplified the fact that you guys are in a combined show over at Leica Gallery LA. So it speaks to creativity, and it speaks to, what some amazing folks can do in such an amazing moment, even if it's a tumultuous time. So again, thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. I hear what you're saying, and I can appreciate that kind of connectivity between artists and creative people from all different walks of life in the creative realm. And there's something really wonderful about that. But there's other parts of Brian's book, and I guess this speaks to the larger conversation around this. And one of the things I love about the book and what it captures is, yes, at like a second or a third glance, you look and you're like, wow, that's somebody that I know from movies, or that's somebody I know from a band or from, a television show or something. But what comes across to me in the first and even in the second glance of the book is these are people. These are people in a collective moment.
Right.
And it's a trying moment. It's difficult, it's tumultuous, it's uncertain, it's anxious. And we're all sharing it together. So there's something kind of beautiful in what Brian captured. Is he captured like this encapsulated feeling that we are all in this together. Whether the person, them from movies, or them from a band, or you've never met them before and they just happen to live in this super rad trailer on a dusty road somewhere in the middle of America. It's like it really kind of brought everything together in this beautiful encapsulated moment. So really, really special book. If people watching, if they haven't looked at the book, they really should give it a look and take it home with you. It's a really special piece of work. Can't say it enough.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you, B. I mean, it's true, but I'll add one step further that the people made this book. This is a book for them. And it's not like I'm this genius, talented photographer. They went out. I was a lucky guy, and I was in the right place. And I'll say it, and it's the truth.
So much of art
captured
is
what
that,
was in
though.
front of me.
So much of art is that, it's like right place, right time, or timing and lighting. And you can kind of distill it down to that, but it's not only that. A lot of the brilliance for me of the book is putting yourself in the right place at the right time. And that was the really courageous thing that you did, is like you got in your truck and you drove across the country and back. That's under normal circumstances, most people don't do that. The whole world shut down. It was like Night of the Comet or something. And you're like, I'm going to go take pictures.
This is a great time.
Yeah, what a great time to go out and take pictures.
Awesome. B, I can't thank you enough for taking out your time. And
Brandon,
again,
thank
I'm
you so
stoked
much.
to be in the gallery with you. And
Ditto.
once this is all over, we can go back to our mud wrestling and just normal things we do.
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's make a date to mud wrestle. The minute
Done.
COVID is done, mud wrestling party.
Done. I got some mud.
So do I. So I'll bring some.
Someone bring the kiddie pool.
That sounds like a threat. It's on.
Take it as
Our
such.
next webinar.
Right.
These like conversations
but seriously,
are going to go
thanks,
interesting places.
thanks for coming on, and thanks for your words, man.
Yeah,
You're
it's
always
a
an
pleasure,
inspiration,
man.
and
Thank you, brother.
you're a badass.
You too. Thanks, Antonio. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, you as well. Brandon, thank you so
Isn't
much
he
for
gorgeous?
being part of this. My hair goals come from Brandon Boyd, I won't lie.
Yeah, I see that.
So
It's just juices and berries. Okay, bye guys.
Take care. So Brian, that's amazing. Yeah, it's always fun to get to speak and hear from someone who is a big part of your youth. That's awesome. So Brian, this is what you do. You bring some amazing voices and amazing people together and tell these stories. And and I'm going to give also some more shout outs to people loving what just happened in the chat with Brandon being a part of this program. And also, to speak to the circle of Leica photographers and people in the orbit of Leica and you. We also have some other people in the chat. Brandon Cooks, NFL athlete, and also a photographer and a subject in your book is also in the chat and saying hi. So shout out to Brandon Cooks. Also want to give more shout outs to more people that bought the book. So let's see, I've got my list here. We've got a few more. Wow. Yeah, it's been great. I think you're gonna be making a lot of phone calls, Brian. We've got Betsy from California, Trisha from Arizona, Charles from California, Ed from North Carolina, and Kay from California. So thanks everyone for
Thank you guys.
buying this book and owning your piece of this history. Compliments of one Mr. Brian Bowen Smith. And you see this, the QR code is on screen there. You should be able to scan that on your phone and get a link to buy right from there. Brian, this is
or you can just go to www.bbsdrivebys.com. We do also have the paperback version. There's a lot of those left, but the limited edition ones are they're getting narrowed down. So
yeah, and I think this a lot of people in our audience are compliments of that. So before we wrap up, we've got such great questions from people in the audience, and I want to ask there's a couple more, and I know you love getting these. And this might be one of my favorites. There's some great ones, but I kind of like this one too because it's a bit of composition. It's a little bit of artistic design and stuff. In the photos, right? Pearl is a big part of your composition and kind of like your co-pilot, right? And it's your second shooter, your assistant in a way to your photography, your photographing of these subjects, of the people in drive-bys. What did you do intentionally, or what thoughts went through your mind in terms of how you want to photograph to also not just feature the subject, but which part of the truck, which part of Pearl, this mirror, that mirror, is the side mirror intentional and part of the composition? Like in some shots, I think that seems like that's apparent. Obviously I think Brandon Boyd being in the kiddie pool, it seemed like it had to go out through the rear windshield, but what processes and thoughts went through your mind in determining how you would compose through a car?
I would literally use the truck as a tripod. And sometimes I would have to back up and reverse and go to switch sides to look. Then I would look through the camera and I would know when it looked right. And then I would snap the picture and that would be it. There wasn't like options. Some were just, it is what it is. Like one of my favorite pictures of the hot legs of that muscle car going right in front of the strip club. I saw the car coming and I'm like, it's so cool that a car of the same era is coming at me. So on the highway, I kind of pulled into the middle and I'm getting my camera, I turned it on, and then I just went like this. And it was one shot. And I happened to get so lucky but there was no composition. I was looking like how far, so sometimes it was that. And then sometimes it was really just kind of looking and saying, well, that doesn't look right. Yeah, there it is. And then there'd be ones where it was like, you see that, like there's one of the ocean, and I got way back and got all the windows, and it's just one big gigantic panoramic, and you can kind of see and compose. But with this camera, it's great. You look, you take a picture, and you know if it's right or wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and I love the reflections on this one. I remember I wanted to get Elvis in the background, Las Vegas. I wanted him in front of the pole so he separates from the background. But then I loved what was happening on the hood, because we were shooting this straight on at first and it didn't look right. So then when I was backing up, came in caddy corner, and he was actually over next to the other Elvis. And then I'm like, wait, come right in front of the car. And then it just ended up working out.
Yeah, the ability to use Pearl, as you said, as a tripod and kind of base the art direction around her and through its windows. And I love, the use of reflections also. When you have this angle can have reflection, of course, off the hood or the mirrors, and then just different perspectives entirely. So it's an amazingly beautiful and creative body of work, and just something I think that's just so creative. And again, this moment in time. Brian, I've got one last question, and this is probably, you're going to hate me for asking this one. Do you have a favorite image for the book, or at least a favorite location during the trip?
It's just impossible.
I'm asking you, like, pick among your kids.
It's like,
right?
What's your favorite movie? What's your favorite song? There's so many songs that affect you differently. When you look at it's why, hey, the book was only supposed to be 150 pages. Now it's over 300. So I kind of messed up, because I based the price and everything and the way and the shipping on a way lighter book, but I couldn't take any pictures out. Look at this beauty. That's my wife, Shay. That's just my baby dog. But I will tell you this. I almost sold Pearl a week before this started. We obviously everyone's taken a hit financially, and I just didn't need this truck. I love this truck, and I've always wanted it, but I'm not attached to anything when you have to do the right thing. So I do want to do a special thanks to my wife Shay and my boy Jonah for sticking with me in every decision I made. I'm not going to cry. Hold on. And then I also want to thank Rick and Megan from my agency, who've continually told me, don't sell the truck. You're going to be fine. We're going to make sure you're fine. But for always having my back. Because I know in these times, it's scary for everyone. And it was scary for me. It still is. And I know a lot of other people are still going through that. And when I bought this truck from a guy named Bob in Portola, California, I promised him that it would go to a good family and do something good. And he actually didn't get to see this, because when I went to visit him, he had passed away. And then 2 weeks after that, his wife passed away. So his daughter's the survivor of them, and she knows he knows. So I'd like to, big thanks to Bob up there for trusting me with Pearl. And thank you for allowing all this to happen. It's still incredible. I can't believe that I actually did it. But it wasn't alone. It was the help of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And Evan and Sylvan, I'm glad we're all still alive. And all the people that helped us along the way. A lot of people helped us, fed us, fixed the trailer, fixed the Winnebago where we quarantined. It was a group effort for sure. And I can't thank Leica enough for all they've done for me. involving me and making the best equipment in the world, and continuing to inspire me to be better at what I do and love every minute of it.
Oh man, Brian, you're making me feel a little emotional too. We can't thank you enough for
Good, start crying then, boy.
We
I
can't
want to see
thank
some
you.
tears in that big ass head.
We can't, that'd be too large. We can't thank you enough for doing what you do. And I think I see people just popping off in the chat, just thanking you for everything that you've created here. And you know, that you have touched on a moment for so many people. And it came to, as you mentioned, just shout out to your team, like the people around you that helped you do it. Big shout out to Shay, and props to Shay for everything she does. And I love, by the way, and someone I think commented on this in the chat, I think that's one of the only photos that we see of like a shot inside Pearl, and Shay is there. And it's so poignant and so beautiful.
She's basically inside me wherever I go, and without her, well, nothing happens.
So yeah, thank you for everything you share, and thank you again to everyone that bought one last shout out. I think this is the final one for now. We're ready to wrap. By William from Virginia also bought the book. Again, thank you everyone for your contributions and for owning this little piece of history, and you know, buying this amazing work of art. We have already gone through over an hour of this virtual book signing, where we have told these stories. Brian, see, it always goes so fast with you. I'm
like, what? I'm just getting started.
Yeah. But really, we can't thank you enough for your time and doing this. I also want to give not only a shout out to your team and everything behind Drivebys, also a shout out to the folks who you're working with there on site, our team, Phil from Leica Academy and Jason from 1/9, putting together this beautiful setup that you're shooting at the gallery. This has been a fantastic time and chat with you, Brian, and to tell these stories from your book, from the very people, your very subjects, your dear friends, neighbors.
Yeah, that was cool.
Colleagues. Yeah, this has been great.
Also, let's not forget, I want to shout out to Kieran, who's been such a solid, everything to me in this whole journey with Leica, and Yvette, who's been so great on Instagram, spreading the word, and largely a part of why I pre-sold a lot of the book is because of what they did for me. So I just want to make sure that they know how much I appreciate, and the whole Leica gallery and the whole Leica store. You guys changed my life.
That's always amazing to hear, Brian. So folks, I can't thank everyone enough for joining us, staying with us for the full length, all the amazing comments in the chat that we've been monitoring, the great questions. I know there were so many more that we haven't gotten to, but again, we really appreciate there's some really great ones, and I'm glad we got to ask some live. You know, this is of course our ongoing series. Our ongoing series of Leica conversations, and we'll be coming to you with more soon enough. But in the meantime, you know, next week we've got another program where you can see me again on the Leica Tech Talk. Be sure to check the us.leica-camera.com website for where you can register to check out the Leica Tech Talk. And pretty relevant, next week we're talking all monochrome cameras. So we're going to talk the M10 monochrome that you used for Drivebys, Brian. So
yeah, you should film that webisode in black and white.
We're debating. We'll see. You know,
God, he's so creative.
So Brian, thank you again.
Thank you so much, everyone. It's still unreal that I'm doing this, and I'm able to do what I love doing. So thank you, everybody who supported, and all those people who bought books. I'm still like, I haven't screamed, but once we get off camera, I'm gonna freak out. That's a lot of books today. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
you make me feel special.
All right. Thanks again, Brian, and everyone on the team. Thanks everyone for joining us. And until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, be creative, go out there when it's safe and take those photos. Bear witness to your world and your moments, however you can. Thanks again, Brian, and thanks everyone.
What up, Jonah?
Until next time, we'll see you from Leica Conversations.
Bye, handsome. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.